On that sultry afternoon, in a luxurious ballroom of a five-star hotel, all eyes were on an unusual scene. Alicia, a black girl of just 12 years old, held her head high and gazed steadily at a man in an expensive suit with a haughty expression. She had just proudly declared that she spoke 9 different languages. The room fell silent for a moment, but was soon broken by a mocking laugh from the millionaire watching her. To him, it was nothing more than a childish fantasy, a way to attract attention. The man, owner of international companies and accustomed to being the most respected figure in any setting, couldn't help but laugh. 9 languages? He repeated sarcastically, as if the idea were too absurd to be taken seriously. Some guests exchanged knowing glances, chuckling quietly with him. Alicia, however, didn't lower her eyes, nor did she feel diminished. On the contrary, there was an unshakable confidence in her posture, as if she were simply waiting for the right moment to prove that every word she'd said was true. She took a deep breath and then, like someone opening a curtain to reveal a spectacle, she began speaking in flawless, accent-free English. Then she switched to French, gliding through the words with a naturalness that hushed the audience. She quickly switched to Spanish, then Arabic, and in a matter of seconds had the entire room holding its breath as the Mandarin flowed from her mouth, as if she'd been born in Beijing. Each language sounded precise, intonation inflected and confident, without a hitch. The silence turned to astonishment, and the sarcastic laughter gave way to open-mouthed expressions. The millionaire, who until seconds ago seemed in control of the situation, stood motionless, unsure of how to react. His mocking smile disappeared, replaced by an expression of pure embarrassment. With each language Alicia displayed, something inside him shattered. The arrogance, the certainty of superiority, the conviction that money was the only form of power. He hadn't expected such a young girl, from a humble background, to humiliate him so elegantly and effortlessly, using only the knowledge she carried within herself. The people present began to exchange glances, trying to process what they were witnessing. Many there had attended good schools and traveled the world, but they had never mastered even half the languages that this girl demonstrated with such fluency. Alicia, serene, continued her demonstration unhurriedly, as if to make it clear that she didn't need to prove anything beyond what she already carried within her very being. The atmosphere, previously filled with laughter and mockery, was now charged with silent respect. The millionaire felt sweat drip down his forehead, unusual for someone who had always prided himself on absolute control in any situation. For the first time, he realized that money wasn't enough to stand out. There was an invisible wealth, one that couldn't be bought with numbers or property, and he saw it before him in the form of a girl of only 12. With each sentence she uttered in another language, he felt his own pedestal crumble, as if he were being stripped of all the arrogance he'd carried for years. When Alicia finally stopped, after reciting passages in German and even Italian, the room was completely silent. There were no more ironic smiles or looks of contempt. Everyone present had witnessed something rare and extraordinary. A child who, even in luxury, possessed a wealth no safe could hold, knowledge. She looked at the millionaire without arrogance, but also without asking for acceptance. Her expression conveyed only the certainty that she was inferior to no one. The millionaire, embarrassed, tried to make a comment, but his voice was choked. He, who had laughed so hard minutes before, could now barely hold his own gaze. The audience, in turn, began to applaud Alicia enthusiastically. It wasn't just a recognition of her ability to speak languages, but of her courage to stand firm in the face of disbelief and prejudice. The girl, without showing off, had reversed roles. The powerful businessman was small, and she was giant. The tension still hung in the air when Alicia took a deep breath and thanked him quietly in the native language of the majority present. That simplicity made it clear that she no longer needed to prove anything, just to show who she was. Her steady gaze swept the audience, and everyone felt part of something bigger, as if this child had just taught them a silent but unforgettable lesson. The millionaire's embarrassed silence contrasted with the applause that echoed through the hall. The businessman, still stunned, remembered how, earlier in the evening, he had been amused by the girl's boldness. Now every laugh seemed to weigh on his shoulders like an irreparable mistake. He understood that he had judged without even listening, merely looking at the color of her skin, the simple clothes she wore, her young age. Everything he had ever believed about power and prestige was being questioned in front of everyone, and it was eating him up inside. Alicia, on the other hand, sought neither revenge nor humiliation. Her demeanor was calm, almost too mature for her age. There was no sign of vanity, just the firmness of someone who knew her own worth. This poise, so unexpected in a child, further increased her impact on everyone around her. It was impossible not to think of how many Alicias existed in the world, but who never had the chance to showcase their talents due to ingrained prejudices. When the millionaire finally stood up, all eyes turned to him again. His face, once confident, now seemed filled with a newfound vulnerability. He tried to utter a few words, but what came out was a brief, almost choked apology. That scene of a powerful man asking a girl for forgiveness seemed surreal. Yet it was real, and for everyone present it would be impossible to forget what they had witnessed that night. The apology didn't erase what had happened, but it completely changed the atmosphere. Many present, accustomed to seeing that man as a symbol of success and arrogance, were surprised to see him wavering in front of a girl. It was a collective reality check. If even he could recognize his mistake, why couldn't so many there also reconsider their own prejudices? Alicia, without raising her voice, had brought about a silent transformation in the hearts of every person in that room. Some guests approached her at first shyly, then more enthusiastically, trying to converse in different languages. Alicia responded easily, switching between languages as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Each response drew smiles, looks of admiration, and even discreet tears from those who realized how unfair the millionaire's initial reaction had been. It was as if her brilliance was illuminating everyone, demonstrating that knowledge knows no age, color, or social class. Meanwhile, the millionaire remained silent, watching from afar. His pride prevented him from approaching, but his mind was racing. He had always believed that nothing was more powerful than money, that status and influence bought respect. But seeing a 12-year-old girl gain everyone's attention and admiration with her intelligence alone shattered his convictions. For the first time in years, he felt small in a crowd. Alicia, however, didn't let the situation turn her into an arrogant person. On the contrary, she knew it was just another step on the long ladder she still had to climb. Deep down, she was aware that for many people like her, opportunities to prove themselves rarely come. Perhaps that was why she prepared so hard, because she understood that when the opportunity arose, she would have to seize it with all her might. And that's exactly what she did that night. The buzz grew. People who had previously barely noticed the girl's presence now wanted to know who she was, where she came from, and how she had learned so much in such a short time. Some asked if her parents were university professors. Others imagined she had studied at international schools. Alicia answered only what was necessary, without going on too long. She didn't want to impress with her background, but rather with her hard work. She knew she hadn't come from a privileged background. On the contrary, her family had always struggled with little, but they never stopped believing in the power of education. Among those present were journalists who began discreetly recording the scene. It was impossible to ignore the ease with which the girl transitioned between languages that many adults spent their lives trying to master without success. Each word Alicia spoke was a blow to prejudice and a reminder that talent can emerge in the most unexpected places. The evening that was supposed to be just another business event was turning into an unforgettable experience. The millionaire, uncomfortable, realized that everyone was now more interested in the girl than in him. Accustomed to being the center of attention, he felt a kind of emptiness he had never experienced before. He tried to regain his composure, smiling and greeting acquaintances, but it was impossible to deny that his arrogance had been unmasked before everyone. He, who had always prided himself on having studied at the world's best universities, now realized that true knowledge could not be bought or flaunted. It had to be earned. Alicia, without fully realizing the magnitude of what she was causing, remained simply who she had always been, curious, dedicated, and proud of her journey. But when she noticed that even the most serious adults were moved by her words, she began to understand that perhaps she had something greater in her hands. Her ability was not just an individual talent, but also a symbol of resilience, representation, and possibility for so many other children who, like her, were underestimated every day. While some quietly applauded, an elegant lady approached Alicia with tears in her eyes. She explained that she had spent her life trying to learn French without success, and that hearing the girl speak so fluently had given her a mixture of good-natured envy and inspiration. She said she now understood that it was never too late to try again, that perhaps she had given up too soon. The confession moved some in the audience, who began to see in Alicia not only a child prodigy, but also a mirror for their own limitations. The millionaire, however, wasn't ready to give in completely. Still trying to assert himself, he interrupted and asked defiantly if the girl also knew how to discuss complex business matters, or if she simply memorized loose phrases in several languages. It was his desperate attempt to regain ground, to show that, despite the surprise, he still dominated a territory he thought unattainable for a child. The silence that followed made it clear that everyone was waiting for the girl's answer. Calmly, Alicia smiled and responded in English, detailing how she enjoyed reading international news every day for practice. Then she switched to Spanish and discussed Latin America's emerging economy, citing data she had recently studied. In French, she spoke about the challenges of the European market. And finally, in Arabic, she explained how language barriers could hinder global negotiations. Each word was articulated with confidence, and the entire room watched, perplexed, as the girl, who not only spoke languages but also knew how to apply them in real-world contexts, spoke with aplomb. The millionaire gasped for a moment. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He'd expected childish answers, but he received solid explanations, almost as if he was speaking to an experienced adult. His initial laughter now seemed distant, embarrassed. The looks falling on him were no longer of respect, but of disapproval. With each sentence Alicia spoke, his image of authority and power diminished, while hers grew larger and more admired. Some guests, inspired by Alicia's demonstration, began asking how she had learned so many languages. She explained that, since she was little, she dedicated herself to studying, using books, videos, and even online conversations with people from different countries. She spoke about the difficulties she faced, the lack of resources, and the constant looks of doubt she received. Every detail reinforced the message that determination and discipline can overcome social and economic barriers. The millionaire, now sitting at the table, tried to gather his thoughts. He felt a mixture of shame and admiration, but humility didn't come easily. He remembered how many times he had dismissed, underestimated talents based solely on status or appearance. The realization that he could learn something from this girl began to dawn timidly, bringing with it a discomfort he didn't know how to manage. Meanwhile, Alicia continued chatting with other guests, switching languages naturally. Some began repeating phrases to test her fluency, and she responded without hesitation. Each interaction reinforced the impression that this child was not only talented, but also extremely intelligent and insightful. The atmosphere, previously filled with formality and competitiveness, now brimmed with curiosity and genuine respect. Realizing the impact Alicia was making, the millionaire finally stood up, took a deep breath, and approached. He knew he needed to somehow acknowledge the girl's competence. His voice was firm, but with a different tone than usual. There was no mockery, only respect. He thanked her for her demonstration and, almost inaudibly, admitted that he had underestimated her talent and courage. It was a silent turning point, but one filled with meaning for everyone who witnessed it. The room remained silent for a few seconds after the millionaire's declaration. No one seemed to believe what had just happened. A man accustomed to dominating everyone around him was now bowing, even symbolically, before a child. Alicia maintained her discreet smile, knowing she didn't need to boast. Her every gesture conveyed the strength of someone who knew her own worth and didn't need to prove anything to anyone. Some guests approached, wanting to talk to the girl and learn more about her study routine. She explained that each language was learned through daily practice, which required discipline and genuine curiosity. She shared details of how she read international news, watched educational videos, and communicated with people from different cultures to improve her pronunciation. It all seemed simple to her, but to those listening, it was impressive how much that dedication had transformed her life. The millionaire watched every move, realizing that this situation wasn't just about languages, but also about humility, respect, and empathy. Each person in the room began to reflect on their own judgments and prejudices. Some whispered to each other about how they often failed to appreciate hidden talents simply because of appearance, age, or social background. The evening became a collective life lesson, with Alicia as the silent protagonist. When he finally felt the need to act, the millionaire approached him again, this time offering an opportunity he had never imagined before, inviting Alicia to participate in an international educational project, where her talent could be recognized and utilized on a global scale. The invitation, made genuinely, represented not only a recognition of her abilities, but also a change in her own worldview. Alicia, with the serenity that has always characterized her, accepted, aware that this opportunity could open unimaginable doors, but that her value went far beyond any invitation or recognition. With the invitation formalized, Alicia felt a mix of excitement and responsibility. She knew this opportunity wasn't just a personal reward, but also a chance to represent all the children who, like her, needed to prove their worth in a world that often underestimated their abilities. Every step she took at that event felt charged with meaning, and her gaze exuded more confidence than ever. The millionaire, in turn, began to realize that the experience had changed something within him. His view of power and wealth was being rethought. He understood that status and money don't guarantee respect or true admiration. Seeing a 12-year-old girl gain the attention and respect of everyone around her with intelligence and courage alone forced him to recognize what he had always ignored. The most powerful wealth lies in knowledge and character. Some guests began approaching the millionaire, curious about his reaction and impressed by Alicia's demeanor. He realized that, for the first time in a long time, he wasn't the center of attention because of his fortune, but because of his humility and ability to learn from someone unexpected. Each interaction reinforced the lesson that everyone, regardless of age or social status, has something to teach and something to learn. Meanwhile, Alicia chatted with the other adults and young people present, answering questions patiently and clearly. She explained how consistent effort and discipline were crucial, sharing small study strategies that anyone could apply. The room, previously dominated by formality and vanity, now breathed curiosity, learning, and genuine admiration. Everyone there was aware that they had witnessed something that transcended social barriers, proving that talent and dedication have no limits. Alicia's presence inspired other young people in the room to strive harder and believe in themselves. Some confessed that they had given up on learning languages or exploring new skills for fear of failure or judgment. Now, seeing this 12-year-old girl overcome prejudice and master different languages, they realized that age and social background should never be barriers to knowledge. Alicia's courage became a living example of overcoming obstacles. The millionaire, observing closely, began to reflect on the mistakes he had made in his own life. He remembered the countless times he had underestimated people based on status, appearance, or age. Each memory seemed to weigh more heavily, making it clear that this episode wasn't just about a talented girl, but about his own inner transformation. For the first in time, he understood that humility and continuous learning are more valuable than any fortune. Meanwhile, Alicia continued to impress, answering complex questions with precision and clarity. Some adults tried to tease her, but they quickly realized they weren't just dealing with a child prodigy, but with someone with above-average intelligence, discipline, and emotional maturity. Alicia's natural confidence transformed the atmosphere. From a room full of skepticism, respect, and genuine admiration, for her talent and poise emerged. As the evening drew to a close, it became clear to everyone present that the experience had changed the course of their lives, albeit subtly. Alicia not only proved her worth, but also taught a powerful lesson. Never underestimate someone based on their age, appearance, or social class. The millionaire, now visibly impacted, knew that moment would be forever etched in his memory, and in the memories of those who witnessed what happened that night. The next morning brought a new challenge for Alicia. She knew that this opportunity to participate in the international project would require even more dedication. Her already intense routine would need to be adjusted to balance school, language studies, and now the demands of the new program. Even so, there was no hesitation in her outlook. Each step was planned with discipline and focus, reflecting the maturity so many adults envied. The millionaire, reflecting on the previous night's events, decided to take concrete action. He contacted the team responsible for the educational project and suggested including personalized mentoring for Alicia, ensuring her talent was maximized. For the first time, his decisions were not motivated by status or profit, but by recognition and appreciation of true merit. It was a silent gesture, but one loaded with meaning. Meanwhile, Alicia began communicating with the program coordinators, sharing ideas, learning strategies, and methods she had developed. Her creativity and vision for expanding knowledge impressed even the most experienced adults, proving that talent, when combined with discipline, can overcome any barrier of age or experience. Her every response conveyed confidence, clarity, and intelligence, making it clear that this was not just a passing talent, but something with a solid foundation. The millionaire, observing everything from a distance, began to feel genuine admiration. He realized that, even with all his wealth and experience, he was standing before someone capable of teaching him more about courage, dedication, and humility than any school or university could offer. And for the first time, the idea that knowledge is true wealth seemed to take shape in his mind, transforming his outlook and attitude toward life. In the following days, Alicia began participating in meetings and discussions about international projects, always contributing ideas and detailed analyses. Each suggestion was met with surprise and respect, demonstrating that her talents were not limited to speaking languages, but also encompassed comprehension, strategy, and worldview. The confidence she exuded captivated adults and young people alike, making everyone listen attentively. The millionaire, now more present, began to closely monitor the girl's performances. He noticed not only her technical skill, but also the way Alicia communicated, solved problems, and inspired others. Each interaction strengthened his conviction that true leadership lies not in power or money, but in the ability to positively influence and respect the talents around him. Some adult classmates who initially doubted the girl's abilities began approaching her to learn from her. They asked about study methods, ways to memorize languages, and time management strategies. Alicia responded with patience and generosity, demonstrating that shared knowledge doesn't diminish the value of those who possess it, but rather increases the impact one can have on the world. Meanwhile, Alicia's fame began to quietly spread among educational and cultural institutions. International professors and mentors invited her to collaborate on programs and lectures, recognizing that her unique talent deserved to be shared globally. Each invitation reinforced the realization that true talent finds recognition, even when it emerges from unexpected places and from people society often underestimates. Alicia began receiving messages from young people in other countries, asking for tips and advice on how to learn new languages and prepare for similar challenges. Each message was a reminder of the impact her actions were making, and she began to realize that her story could inspire thousands of people to believe in their own potential, regardless of their circumstances. The millionaire, observing this repercussion, began to question his own trajectory. He realized how many opportunities he had missed due to prejudice and hasty judgments. Alicia, without even trying to change anyone, simply being herself, showed that life could teach him more than any book or formal experience. He felt he needed to adjust his own way of seeing the world. During an international online meeting, Alicia once again stood out by presenting a detailed analysis of cultural and economic trends in different countries. Her command of multiple languages allowed her to communicate directly with representatives from various nations, something that surprised even the project coordinators. Her every word carried precision, clarity, and confidence, demonstrating that her talent was not merely theoretical, but applicable to complex real-world situations. Meanwhile, some adults began sharing Alicia's story on social media and educational forums, highlighting not only her linguistic ability, but also her determination and discipline. Gradually, Alicia's image ceased to be that of a child prodigy. She became a symbol of overcoming obstacles, inspiring young people and adults to question their own limits and strive for constant growth, even amidst difficulties. Alicia, aware of her growing influence, began planning ways to help other children learn languages and develop similar skills. She created short guides and practical methods, adapted to different knowledge levels and ages. Each step was designed to make learning accessible and motivating, demonstrating that dedication and discipline can be applied by anyone, regardless of their background. The millionaire, now fully involved in the project, began supporting her in all her endeavors, offering resources and connections that could expand the reach of Alicia's work. He realized that by investing in genuine talent, he was not only helping a young girl, but also learning valuable lessons about empathy, humility, and recognizing the efforts of others. Her internal transformation continued quietly but profoundly. Some educators involved in the project began organizing workshops inspired by Alicia's methods. She became a role model, not only for her skills, but also for her character and dedication. Each workshop promoted effective learning and inspired children to believe they could overcome obstacles and achieve results previously considered impossible. Meanwhile, Alicia continued to interact with her colleagues and mentors, always with curiosity and a desire to learn. Even with her growing success, she never lost her humility. Every conversation, every suggestion was treated with attention and respect. This attitude reinforced the idea that true intelligence and talent come with responsibility, generosity, and discipline, values she held dear from an early age. With each passing day, Alicia grew more confident in her ability to inspire and teach. She began planning short videos and online tutorials, sharing language learning techniques and demonstrating that any child with dedication could achieve amazing results. Her goal was not just to impress, but to make a real impact on the lives of young people who, like her, faced social barriers and limited resources. The millionaire, now in awe of his own shift in perspective, realized that the girl had transformed not only the public's view, but also his own. He began to reflect on how his life would have been different if he had recognized the value of the people around him earlier, regardless of status or appearance. Meeting Alicia had become a milestone in his learning and humility, reminding him that respect and recognition are non-negotiable. As the impact grew, Alicia began receiving invitations to lectures and meetings in different cities. With each new invitation, she remained steadfast in her purpose, to share knowledge and inspire young people to believe in their own potential. She demonstrated that leadership and impact don't come from age or wealth, but from discipline, courage, and sustained dedication. Some parents, moved, sent messages thanking Alicia for her example. They told how their children, previously unmotivated, were now interested in studying languages, learning new skills, and believing in themselves. It was clear that the girl's story was transforming lives, creating a wave of motivation that spread beyond the event, reaching homes, schools, and communities around the world. Alicia began to realize that her impact extended beyond language learning. Young people and adults alike began reaching out to hear about her discipline, time management, and study methods. She shared every detail clearly, demonstrating that there were no magic shortcuts, only consistent dedication and a smart strategy. Each conversation reinforced that determination and personal effort can overcome economic and social barriers. The millionaire observed each interaction and felt a mixture of pride and reflection. He realized that his fortune and influence were not enough to generate an effect as profound and positive as the one this girl was creating with knowledge and discipline. For the first time, he understood that true wealth lay in recognizing talent and investing in it with honesty and respect. While Alicia continued working on her projects, she also dedicated time to exploring new areas of knowledge. She learned about economics, science, and global culture, always seeking to expand her knowledge base. Her commitment to constant learning impressed everyone who knew her, proving that talent and effort can multiply when combined with curiosity and a passion for knowledge. Some teachers from the international project began proposing scholarships and additional opportunities for Alicia. They recognized that a child with such potential deserved access to resources that could transform her talent into even greater achievements. Each new opportunity reinforced the idea that effort, intelligence, and courage can open doors no one imagined possible. Alicia began writing short articles and essays about her learning experiences, sharing strategies, challenges, and achievements. Her writing became a reference for teachers and students, demonstrating that extraordinary abilities can emerge from dedication and perseverance, even in children from humble backgrounds. Each written word carried authenticity and inspiration. The millionaire, observing the girl's development, decided to open up space on his own communication channels and contacts to promote Alicia's work. He realized that his influence could amplify the young woman's impact and help other children believe in their own potential. It was a way to transform admiration into concrete action, creating real opportunities for promising talents. Some of Alicia's classmates began to be inspired and seek similar methods to improve their learning. The girl became a model of determination, showing that even seemingly insurmountable obstacles can be overcome with planning, discipline, and courage. Each of Alicia's successes became a motivation for those around her, creating a positive cycle of growth and overcoming. Meanwhile, Alicia continued to challenge herself, learning new languages and exploring areas of knowledge that previously seemed distant. Each new learning experience strengthened her confidence, and each interaction with adults and young people demonstrated that talent combined with sustained effort generates respect and admiration, regardless of age or social background. Alicia began receiving invitations for interviews on podcasts and educational channels, where she could share her learning techniques and her views on discipline and dedication. Each interview revealed not only her language prowess, but also her emotional maturity and ability to inspire people of all ages and backgrounds. Her story was beginning to reach a global audience. The millionaire, now deeply impacted, realized that Alicia had transformed more than just his perspective on talent. She had changed the way he viewed the importance of investing in education and knowledge. He felt that by supporting her, he was contributing to a real change in the lives of many people, and this became as valuable as any financial investment. Meanwhile, Alicia began organizing small online study groups, bringing together children from different countries to practice languages and share experiences. She used practical and engaging methods, making each session productive and fun. She realized that her impact went beyond earning respect. She was creating a collaborative, global learning network. Renowned educators began writing articles about Alicia's methods, highlighting her ability to combine learning and motivation. They recognized that she was not only a prodigy, but also a natural leader, capable of inspiring other young people to dedicate themselves and believe in their own potential. Each recognition reinforced the importance of knowledge and discipline as true treasures. Alicia began to realize that her story was inspiring not only young people, but also adults who felt discouraged. Many shared messages describing how her courage and discipline made them reconsider their own choices, reminding them that it's never too late to learn and improve. Each message she received further strengthened the girl's confidence. The millionaire began to participate more actively in the project, offering mentoring and logistical support to expand the reach of Alicia's initiatives. He understood that his role was not that of a protagonist, but rather a facilitator, ensuring that talents like hers could shine without limitations. This change in attitude reflected the profound impact Alicia had on his life and worldview. Meanwhile, Alicia began collaborating with schools and institutions in different countries, developing curricula and learning programs that could be applied by teachers and students. She mentally traveled between cultures, languages, and methodologies, always seeking to adapt her knowledge for maximum impact and accessibility. Each step reinforced that dedication and intelligence can create opportunities for others, regardless of the circumstances. Some young people began to organize study groups based on Alicia's methods, sharing experiences and learning from each other. Alicia observed these initiatives closely, proud to see that her story not only inspired, but also fostered collaboration, autonomy, and responsibility. The impact was spreading, demonstrating that genuine leadership is born from example and the ability to teach. Alicia began receiving invitations to international events where she could share her experience and demonstrate how discipline, courage, and intelligence can transform lives. She was excited but aware of the responsibility of representing not only herself, but also all the children who, like her, struggled with social barriers and prejudice. Each presentation was designed to inspire and motivate in a practical and realistic way. The millionaire began to reflect on his own choices, realizing that meeting Alicia had awakened in him a desire to continually support educational projects. He understood that true wealth goes far beyond money and luxury. It lies in the ability to invest in talent, create opportunities, and make a positive impact on the lives of others. This lesson would remain with him forever. Meanwhile, Alicia continued to expand her teaching and learning methods, exploring new areas of knowledge and integrating technology to create more interactive experiences. She understood that to continue inspiring, she needed to constantly evolve and adapt to new demands. Each new strategy she applied demonstrated that discipline and creativity go hand in hand, enhancing results. Some parents began sending emotional stories, telling how their children became more interested in studying languages and new skills after learning about Alicia's story. These stories reinforced that the girl's impact wasn't limited to numbers or titles, but was creating real, tangible, and lasting changes in people's lives. Alicia began developing online workshops, allowing children from different parts of the world to learn together and share experiences. She dedicated herself to making each session practical, dynamic, and motivating, ensuring that everyone felt included and empowered to overcome challenges. Her method not only taught languages, but also discipline, focus, and self-confidence. The millionaire began to value education even more, realizing that true power lies in empowering others and fostering growth through knowledge. He shared resources, contacts, and opportunities so Alicia could expand her reach, creating a robust and effective support network. Each action reinforced the lesson that generosity and recognition of talent generate real transformation. Meanwhile, Alicia received constant feedback from teachers, peers, and family, each highlighting not only her talent, but also her maturity, dedication, and ability to inspire. She understood that responsibility and influence go hand in hand, and that every decision she made could positively impact the lives of many. This awareness shaped her approach to every presentation and project. Some young people began organizing local language clubs and study groups using the methods Alicia developed. They learned from each other, applying her strategies to their daily routines. Alicia watched with pride, realizing that her work was multiplying, creating a global network of collaborative and inspiring learning. Alicia began exploring ways to document her experiences in a book, bringing together learning methods, organizational strategies, and inspiring stories of young people who were benefiting from her techniques. She wanted the material to be accessible and practical, allowing any child, regardless of their background, to apply the teachings in their everyday lives. The millionaire became directly involved in promoting these initiatives, using his influence to open doors and create opportunities. He understood that Alicia's story had the potential to inspire millions, and that his responsibility was to ensure that this impact was amplified in the best possible way. His every action reflected personal growth and real learning about humility and generosity. Meanwhile, Alicia continued to participate in international meetings and online lectures, always showcasing her ability to speak multiple languages fluently. Each interaction reinforced her prestige, not only as a prodigy, but also as a leader and reference in language teaching and personal development. Her reputation was cemented as an example of resilience and discipline. Some educators began implementing entire programs based on Alicia's methods, integrating her techniques into their school curricula. The children who participated in these programs achieved impressive results, demonstrating that talent combined with method and discipline produces consistent and transformative results. Alicia felt that her mission to inspire and educate was expanding in a real and tangible way. Alicia began receiving invitations to participate in international education conferences, where she could share her experience and innovative methods. She carefully prepared for each presentation, striving to convey not only technical knowledge, but also motivation and hope to children and young people from different cultures. Each speech was met with enthusiasm and admiration. The millionaire began to closely follow these conferences, observing how the girl gained the attention and respect of everyone around her. He realized that even without financial resources, Alicia had something no amount of money could buy: authenticity, applied intelligence, and the ability to transform lives with concrete actions. He was proud to be able to support her, but even more impacted by the example she set. Meanwhile, Alicia began organizing mentoring groups, connecting talented young people with professionals from different fields. She knew that shared knowledge multiplies and wanted to create real opportunities for each child to grow and develop essential skills. Her vision grew increasingly broader, demonstrating that genuine leadership creates concrete change. Some young people began reporting extraordinary results, noting that they not only learned languages with Alicia, but also developed discipline, confidence, and communication skills. Each report reinforced that her influence was expanding significantly, generating a network of learning and inspiration that transcended borders and social classes. Alicia began receiving collaboration proposals from international education organizations, offering programs and scholarships for vulnerable children. She saw this as an opportunity to further expand her impact, helping young people who, like her, needed encouragement and guidance to discover their potential. Each proposal was carefully reviewed to ensure the focus remained on learning and motivation. The Millionaire began closely monitoring each initiative, ensuring that resources and contacts were strategically allocated. He learned that supporting talent isn't just a matter of financial investment, but also of attention, empathy, and commitment to human development. The relationship between him and Alicia evolved into a partnership of mutual respect and admiration. Meanwhile, Alicia continued to refine her teaching techniques, incorporating technology, educational, games, and collaborative practices. She understood that to maintain interest and motivation, it was necessary to innovate and make learning engaging, demonstrating that discipline and creativity can work together to achieve lasting results. Alicia's impact became global. Stories from young people and families from different countries showed how her techniques transformed their routines, their interest in learning, and their personal confidence. She saw that her story wasn't just about talent, but about inspiring and creating opportunities, showing that knowledge and dedication have real power to change lives. Looking back, Alicia realized how much she had evolved since that day when she boasted of speaking 9 languages in front of the skeptical Millionaire. Every challenge she faced, every trial she overcame, and every opportunity she seized helped transform her into someone who not only learned, but also inspired and guided others. She understood that her power lay in shared knowledge and in her ability to believe in people's potential. The Millionaire, now completely transformed, felt a mixture of admiration and gratitude. He recognized that, even with all his money and influence, nothing compared to Alicia's strength of character, courage, and intelligence. The experience taught him to value true talent and to recognize that true wealth is not measured by possessions, but by the ability to positively impact the lives of others. Alicia's influence continued to grow, but she maintained the humility that has always characterized her. Each new achievement was an opportunity to help more people, inspire more young people, and show that, regardless of background, anyone can achieve great things with discipline, dedication, and a passion for knowledge. Her story became a symbol of overcoming obstacles, resilience, and transformation. And so, the girl who was once ridiculed for claiming to speak 9 languages transformed not only her life, but the lives of thousands of others. Alicia proved that true wealth lies in knowledge, courage, and the desire to make a difference. Her journey ends with a legacy of inspiration, showing that true talent cannot be ignored, and that determination and a passion for learning have the power to change the world.